You're listening to the NFPT podcast, where we help aspiring trainers pass their exams and launch their fitness careers. I'm your host, Erin Mahoney, General Manager of NFPT and longtime certified personal trainer. And today we are talking about types of specificity. Now, what does that mean for our exam? When I'm saying types of specificity, I'm referring exactly to the SAID principle. That's SAID, and what that looks like on the exam. So the SAID principle stands for specific adaptations to imposed demands, and it is one of your guiding program design principles. Now, why is this important? First off, program design is a major testing domain on your CPT exam. What I mean by that is over 20% of your CPT test questions will come from the broad topic of program design. So you definitely want to know these guiding principles of program design. And then what we also know is that applying the SAID principle is going to require you to have a good knowledge base on movement patterns, energy systems, and biomechanic principles. Now, if you've been listening all along, you know that those are three of the four content anchors in NFPT's Core 4 learning model. So they're incredibly important, and this will unlock many answers on your exam. Let's take a look at how the SAID principle shows up on the test. So first, it could be very simple. You might just have the definition of the program design principle, and then you just have to label it. So you would say the specificity principle or the SAID principle. But it can get more complex, and that would be where you're asked to identify the type of specificity, which is what we're going to go over today. And then you also might see it when it asks you what exercise to choose to accomplish fill in the blank with a client goal type. So there's a little bit to unpack here. Let's start by taking a look at the three types of specificity. Now, here's a tip for you. You intuitively know these, so try not to overthink the terms and just think broadly what they mean. First is mechanical specificity. And this is the one that you're probably most familiar with. Mechanical specificity refers to the weight and movement of an exercise. So, how much weight is the client lifting and what is the movement? Are they doing a squat? Are they doing a push up? And how do we make sure that closely mirrors what they're trying to accomplish? Then we've got neuromuscular specificity. So, neuromuscular as refers to the ability of the nervous system to communicate effectively to the muscular system. And when we're talking about neuromuscular specificity, that is related to speed and balance work because speed is all about how quickly you can produce force. And balance is all about making sure that the incoming information up to the central nervous system is generating the right response in the body. So being able to balance without falling over. And then lastly, we have the metabolic specificity, and that refers to the energy systems that are being taxed. So, for example, if you want to run a marathon, then you should be training long distance endurance activities. Let's go into some more examples of the goal a client might have, the applications of exercises that you could use, and what type of specificity that is looking at. So let's start with fall prevention. If a client comes in wanting to prevent falls, we know that some good exercises that they could be doing include a single leg squat, or they could also be doing squats on a balance pad. And what we're doing there is we're attacking the neuromuscular specificity. So we're making sure that the client is able to have the right information coming in from that changing environment in order to recruit the correct muscles so they're able to maintain their center of gravity without falling over. Then we've got another client goal. Maybe they want to run a marathon, like we already said. And in this instance, you got it. Long distance running and endurance building is what's necessary. And this is really tapping into metabolic specificity. Then we've got a goal of increasing a vertical jump. Now, here, what you would want to do is something like barbell squats, because that's going to increase their strength in their lower body. But we also have squat jumps. So, squat jumps is going to teach their nervous system to communicate quickly to their muscular system in order to produce that force. So if our client's goal is to increase their vertical jump, and we know that we want to include barbell squats and squat jumps, the type of specificity we're looking at here is mechanical and neuromuscular. And then lastly, let's say we have a client that wants to prevent low back pain as part of injury prevention. We know that core training is critical in the prevention of low back pain. And we also know that good posture and flexibility development is also important. So, therefore, mechanical specificity is going to teach that client how to activate their core. And then the flexibility development is going to teach them to be able to have that full range of motion in order to make sure that their spine is in a neutral position. All right, now let's take a look at some example test questions leveraging the SAID principle. And here I'm not giving you any answer options because the intent is I want you to think about how these questions might show up first, and then in later episodes, we'll give you some example questions. So, first, what does the SAID principle stand for? We already covered that one, and we know quite clearly it is specific adaptations to imposed demands. And that shouldn't be too tough for you to memorize because if you think about it, all you're doing with your programming is getting your client's body to adapt to whatever you're asking them to do. So, specific adaptations to imposed demands should be very straightforward for you to understand what the acronym, the SAID principle, stands for. Then we've got another example question, which might be something like, what principle of program design states train for the results you want? So that would be a way that this could show up on your test. And in this instance, it would be the specificity principle or the SAID principle. And then one more example test question would be something like, what exercise should be used to improve a client's vertical jump? Now, I know you've got this one because we just covered it, but something like barbell squats or squat jumps would be a suitable answer to this type of question. All right, as you move into mastering the SAID principle, and part of our Core 4 learning model means that we need to progress you from knowledge to application to confidence. So you'll want to start building your knowledge by knowing the definition of the term and also knowing the definition of the different types of specificity. Then, as you move into application, what you can do is you can start relating either your goals or any client goals that you have to what exercises you're selecting. So, making sure that every exercise that's used in a program ties to what their goals are. And you can also start evaluating the workout alignment maybe you have for yourself with the adaptation that you're trying to achieve. And then lastly, in order to apply these concepts, you want to be taking those chapter quizzes. That's going to give you practice applying this information. And then lastly, as you progress into confidence, what you'll be doing is you'll be structuring goal specific workouts with acute variables. So, acute variables are all the different things that you could change in a client's workout in order to achieve that goal they're trying to accomplish. You can also grow your confidence by taking those practice tests. That's growing your confidence for test day, and it's very helpful. And then lastly, you will feel fully confident when you pass your exam, as I know you will. All right. Remember, the NFPT differentiator is that CPT success shouldn't be complicated. And that's what we're here for. We're here to simplify things and make you successful long term in the fitness industry. So if you haven't already, enroll in the NFPT CPT today. Or if you're already enrolled in another CPT program, we still want to help. So check out our recorded exam prep series. Those are perfect for any CPT that you might be enrolled in, and it teaches you those key concepts that you need to know in order to pass your exam. That's it. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next time. Stay well and keep moving. Today's episode is brought to you by Summit Professional Education. Unlock your potential with Summit Professional Education, your trusted partner for expert-led courses, flexible learning, and essential CEUs. Elevate your skills today at summiteducation.com.